So today we're talking about collections as data and Jupyter Notebooks and how we've been experimenting with those in Library Labs. So some of you may already know about the International GLAM, so that's Galleries, Libraries, Archives and Museums Lab community. That was set up in September 2018 following an initiative by the British Library, and it's been now grown. We had a meeting in Copenhagen at the Royal Library of Denmark in March 2019, and we've now grown to over 250 people in 60 institutions in over 30 countries, so really an international global community. In September last year, and there's probably several people in the room who were also co-authoring, we had a week in Doha, in Qatar, co-writing and co-creating this Open a GLAM Lab book. You can click on the link and access the book. It's CC0 and it's all openly available. So please take a look and find out how to set up a GLAM Lab. The idea that we're working on currently within the Claria project in Belgium is to see how we can provide data infrastructure for data-driven research in the arts and humanities. So we're working with something called the Flemish Supercomputer Centre, and the idea in the yellow block is that what we're calling humanities research data sets onto our supercomputer so that they can either be analysed through high performance computing for more computationally literate researchers, or we can provide access to them via Jupyter Notebooks. And these humanities research data sets can be, for example, the underlying Alto XML files, the images from digitised newspapers. And so over, if my slides will move, to Gustavo, who will tell us a little bit more about the collections as data methodology.
Hi everyone, and we have recently published a new methodology to create collecting as data, and it has several steps. First of all, we have identification, and we can use labs and websites to identify collections, and it's very important to review the copyright. Then we're going to have access and retrieve by means of APIs and dumps to download the datasets. Then we're going to have cleaning and reformat and data enrichment by means of external datasets, for instance, Wikidata or GeoNames. And finally, we will have a final step in order to package the datasets and to have collecting as data. As a result, you have you have the link to the paper that we have written. And now, please, the next one. And well, what about the Jupyter Notebook features? They have become very popular in the research community. As you can see here, the British Library, the Library of Congress, the National Library of Scotland, the Austrian National Library are using them. And they are reproducible, which means that you can reproduce the results. They are runnable in the cloud, which means that you don't need to install anything. They are easy to use, just like a Word document, and you don't need to code. You can just run cell by cell the notebook, and they are a pedagogical tool since you can include code and documentation in the same notebook. That is.
Following the aspects of this data flow, the opportunity of Jupyter Notebooks, and the automation of a number of these steps, we also see, coming back to labs, that labs are really important as the moderator between this. If we can provide this, facilitate the access to this data, make it available, have Jupyter Notebooks, and build, let's say, beautiful platforms, we also need moderators in there. And the example we provide you today is from KBR, the Royal Library of Belgium, where we have a growing innovation hub of different labs. One is the Digital Research Lab, where I'm the head, which works to facilitate text and data mining. Camille is a journalism and newspaper archive, so specifically looking at newspapers. DATA-KBR-BE is facilitating the data access to these newspapers, so really working on the first part of that workflow. And Be Social is a research project working on archiving of Belgian social media. So it's not just the combination of offering these tools, but also, well, the human side of working to ensure these sustainable and reusable research workflows to facilitate the use of these collections. Sally?
You have to finish that, Sally, because time's up.
That's perfect. So yeah, we wanted to share all this together, and it's very important, the collaboration between all of us working on collections as data. So thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Sally, Gustavo, and Julie. Are there any questions from the chat room? I don't see any questions. I have one question myself. Is about the users that are using these collections. Are they most of them are they new users of that use this Jupyter notebooks, or are they already very experts in using this software?
Well, we're starting out with use cases at the moment, so we've got people who are working on the newspaper, on the collections of the KBR already. So, for example, a colleague from the University of Antwerp. They haven't worked with notebooks as yet, but they are relatively digitally literate. And I think maybe Gustavo's got more to answer on his notebooks.
No, I mean that notebooks can be useful for expert users to identify what they can do with digital collections, but also for students and non-expert users that want to learn step by step, including documentation, how they can exploit these data sets. So it's both, I could say.
Okay, thank you, all of you.